Hey guys, today we're just going to get a quick one out. I was at a knitting retreat over the weekend, yay pipeliners, and I was showing some people the wheel, and I've always told people that you have to have a carded prep, like a hand card, really lofty prep to use this wheel, because you have to use the long draw. Well, the thing is I kind of got me interested in whether or not you could use like a standard roving preparation to spin on this wheel, because you certainly don't want to always be limited to having the hand card while you go. You want to be able to buy some fiber and get some spinning done. So that's what I'm going to do this week, is try to work from like purchased roving. This is the first time you've seen me use roving, and certainly like purchased wool, other than like wools that I have specifically went to the farm myself to buy from the farmer. But yeah, so I'm going to try to see how well I can do a long draw with, like a normal roving on this great wheel. I might revisit this too in a couple weeks when I've had a chance to practice at it a bit and see if I'm any better at it. Right now, it seems to be moving okay, but I would say that one limitation is I'm definitely spinning thicker than I do when I do my own preparation. So if that's important to anybody, if you want to spin really fine, it's probably necessary that you card your own wool. And again, after some practice, I might be able to spin thinner even using purchased roving. So we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, I really enjoy spinning on this, and it goes so quickly because you're using the long draw and because the ratio is so high. Now, this is a wheel I just made last night based on some alterations and things I wanted to do to the last couple wheels you've seen. I'm not really sure. I know I've spun on a version of this wheel for a few episodes, but originally I had a wheel that I had made using 9-inch blocks of 1x4, and so that made the wheel 21, no, it made it 22 3/4 inches diameter. So if I was using the 1-inch spindle pulley, that was a 23-to-1 ratio. And then I thought, well, it doesn't need to be that big, and the wheel's kind of heavy on this frame, so I went to an 8-to-1 ratio. I went to an 8-inch wheel block out here that made me go 19 1/4 inches diameter on the wheel, and that was still kind of heavy, but that gave me a 19-to-1 ratio. So I took it all the way down to 7-inch wheel blocks, but what I did was I switched to the 1x3 instead of the 1x4, and in hopes to lighten up the wheel. Now, I knew that that would give me a lighter wheel. The problem is that by this point I wanted to be able to disassemble the two crosses of the wheel so that it could go together. So I needed to make sure I still had room going diagonally to not only fit the hole for the axle, but a hole on both sides of the axle diagonally for the bolts that would pin them together. And so the 1x3 is just barely got enough room to do that. In the back where you see the wing nuts where it goes in together, it's actually pretty tight back there. As a matter of fact, the washer that's under this bolt head is like out over the hole that the wing nut has to sink into. So I really don't have any room to speak of back there, but I think it's worth it because I really like how light the 1x3 is for the wheel for the drive wheel instead of the 1x4. So I took it all the way down on that third wheel. I took it all the way down to 7-inch wheel blocks, which ended up needing to be 17 inches across. And so that gave me a 17-to-1 spindle. Now, I like that fine, but what happened was I really kind of wanted the larger ratio, and I had room to move to a bigger wheel once I went down to the 1x3 frame because I took so much weight off. So now this one I've went back up to the 8-inch wheel blocks, which gives me a wheel diameter of 19.25 inches. So it's a 19-to-1 ratio if I'm using the 1-inch spindle pulley. And yeah, I like it. I think that's going to be the permanent. This wheel is actually reversible. So if you take this wheel off, flip those diagonals, which actually they'll stay together, and you can just turn them and then tighten it down, put the wheel back on. It's left-handed, which is nice, but that was one of the adjustments I made in this wheel too. So now I have a right-hand, left-hand wheel with a lighter wheel, and it's got a 64-inch circumference because each one of these spaces is 8 inches across, but then it's exactly 8 inches between both of them too. So it's 8 times 8, and that gives a 64-inch diameter. And this isn't too bad going from the roving. Now, I don't know how dense roving fiber can get or how lofty it can be prepared, but this doesn't seem to be too bad. It's definitely not prohibiting me from spinning. And like I said, if I got used to it, I'd perhaps even master being able to spin as thin as I normally do. It would just take a little more practice on my behalf, but it's making a nice yarn, and I don't mind it at all. I do wonder if the machines, the mill machines that make this roving are capable of making a loftier roving, and if they're able to make a denser roving. I'm pretty sure they're able to make a denser roving because it feels like a lot of times the roving I buy off of people, especially braids, are a very dense roving, which I'm sure spinners appreciate because that allows you to take, you know, a good amount of wool with you somewhere in a confined space, and you're going to be able to pre-draft or pull it apart as you go once you get to wherever you're going. So normally dense roving isn't an issue, but of course if you're wanting just to go from roving to the spindle, it is an issue for the long draw. So I think this is going to be a short week, but I had a lot of fun spinning with the people of Washington, Illinois. Well, I say Washington, Illinois, but people were there from all around the Midwest and beyond, and it was a nice time. So if any of you were there, thanks for tuning in. I'm liking this. I might have to carry big bags of roving with me someplace from now on so that people can spin off of it. I do think this is a less approachable preparation, like for somebody to just sit down at this wheel. If I want somebody to be able to try this wheel, I don't know that I can just pull out a bag of roving and hope that they're going to have good luck with the long draw. It might be a bit too much to take your first time out. Seems like you'd want the best fiber preparation that you can have for doing long draw, so that as you're picking up, because long draw is pretty new for most people. They don't practice it on their normal spinning wheels and such. So like if they're going to sit down and use this, they're not only going to be seeing like how does the machine operate and how do they like using a spindle tip, but also like how good are they at like improvising a unsupported long draw for the first time while, you know, other people are around. So I don't think you want to have like this fiber for them to spin from, it would probably be best that I hand card them stuff while they go, or let them hand card. But yeah, I think that does it for this week. I'm really liking how this is coming out. I'm going to have to crochet me something out of this, leave it as a single because it's a little bit thicker. It's maybe half of a worsted weight. I don't know what gauge that is. Is that a DK? What's exactly half of worsted? But anyways, I think with a large needle and a single crochet, like it would make a nice beanie or a nice slouchy, just as a single. It's a nice gray color. But I'm going to break off here and wind on, and then that should do it. It's getting nicer here, and the daylight is staying out longer, so hopefully the next couple will be outside. Sorry that this one came late this week, but I am trying to get it out by the weekend, and I hope to still have another podcast by the following Wednesday, just a couple days later, so we'll see you then.